In this video, I'm going to test this new Creality Halot Mage S, as well as I'm going to show you another alternative to Orcish Dermis, which we all know is out of stock. First off, I want to get something out of the way and off of my chest. Creality sent me this machine. Of course, I have a relationship with them. I am a 3D printing YouTube channel. This is the kind of thing that happens when you have a channel like this. But I would like to say that this does not affect the way in which my opinion is portrayed upon videos somehow. I'm not really sure if that makes any sense, but it doesn't really matter because the reality is this machine was sent to me, and I'm one of those people that really likes the newest and best of latest of greatest of things, so everything new is going to be good for me. That's just usually how it is, unless of course it's bad, in which case I will tell you that it's not so good. There is some new things on this printer. That is the new integral light source 3.0, which has pro level fidelity. I don't even know what that means, but basically it's 90% increased light uniformity. That's a thing that is on this machine. Another thing that is on this machine is a 14K screen, which means nothing really, but what does mean something is the resolution, and that is 13,320 by 5,120. This also printer can print down to the pixel size of 24.8 microns, which, to be totally honest, anything under 28, 30 microns is pretty fantastic these days. There is a laser etched build plate, which obviously makes things stick to the build plate, which is a good thing. If you're trying to print things and they are not sticking to your build plate, then it's good that they stick to it. It has this weird latch. There's nothing different from the original Halot Mage, where it had this weird little latch that attaches the build plate onto the build plate rising system thing. It's pretty cool. It's simple. It's not crazy. It's not over-engineered really. I don't know. It does what it's supposed to do. It holds the build plate onto the arm that goes up and down, which is obviously important, again, if you want to 3D print stuff. My complete testing with this machine means just putting in an Amerilab town into the printer and printing it. And I'm going to be totally honest, I used the stock settings on this machine. I didn't change anything. I just clicked print, and everything was perfect. So I supported up a model, I tracked it in the machine, and I clicked print again, and this is the results of exactly that situation. Something to take note of, perhaps, maybe, is the size of the build area, and that is 223 millimeters by 230 millimeters by 126 millimeters. This puts it in the medium sort of size category of 3D printers, and essentially perfect for printing 1/6 scale models. The model that I've printed is from ES Monster, and it is Ada Wong, I think, from Resident Evil. It is a model that I'm going to paint, because of course you can't just test the printer by printing things. The best thing, if you are a painter of prints, then you want to test print and then paint those prints so that you can really honestly tell how those prints are. Because as we all know, we've tried to print something and then did a little bit of a zenithal highlight and realized just how bad our print might have been, and we missed all those faults. But once you start painting it, you cannot hide from any of the faults. As you can tell though, the details are absolutely on point. I used their high detail resin, which in my opinion, I don't really know if there is much difference between high details and standard resins, but I do think that maybe the color has something to do with it. Either way, it looks fantastic. The details are great. The texture is perfect. Genuinely, I've come to really trust Creality when it comes to most of their printers. At least in my experience, I've had usually a really good experience with Creality. I can't speak for everybody in the world, but in my own personal experience, I've had a great time with the 99% of the machines that I've had from them. And now, obviously, I'm going to paint this model, and the best way to paint a model is, of course, to give it a lovely primer coat. I use just a black because for me a black is going to hide all the shadows and mean that I'm not going to have to do too much work. Now her dress is red, so this is super simple and easy. I spray a white over the top of that black to create a zenithal highlight over the top of the model, and then I take a nice red ink and I spray that over everything. Then giving that a Carabao crimson shade, it makes the reds look nice and crisp and saturated. Now moving on to the skin tones. Now of course I have used many different techniques for skin tones, and in my quest for doing decent skin tones I've always tried to share all of that with everybody. This time you may notice I used a red ink instead of a transparent red, and that is because I ran out of transparent red. Red ink actually works very much like the transparent ink, and it does pretty much a similar thing. So if you don't have transparent red ink will do the same thing. Water it down a little bit. Hey, it's pretty much then transparent, isn't it? Now the same process I use for most of my skins is going to carry on from here, and that is going to be slowly building up with a volumetric feel to areas. This means that I'm going to be adding some highlights to very specific points where the light would hit those points and make them look a little bit more fuller or rounder or bigger, or like the light is coming from somewhere. That is the only way I can really explain this to you. Basically you're just trying to emulate light coming from somewhere. Now we need to talk about this Orcish Dermis situation, because realistically it's becoming a problem. Every single time I find a new one, I find out that I've chosen one that's never in stock. But I tested this Nomad Flesh from Army Painter and it was okay until I realized it was missing something, and that was a tiny bit of red. The red ink is a little bit more pungent, and what you can see after I'd added that, it gave it that pinkish look that I was looking for from Orcish Dermis. And now just to show you exactly what I mean, this is Orcish Dermis out of the bottle, and this is a Nomad Flesh with a little bit of red ink mixed into it. It's almost indistinguishable. So if you can't find Orcish Dermis, maybe Nomad Flesh is available in Army Painter somewhere near you, and a little bit of red ink will get you there. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now let's get back to painting the rest of the model. Of course I need to now base coat a couple of other things, for example the hair and some of the doodads on the rest of the body, like the bra straps and the bra underneath the dress and the little straps that go around the shoulders. This is simple. It's literally done with just a black, and I'm going to come back over the top of the red areas, which will be where the dress is attached to, and I want to paint that with some deck tan. Yes, the deck tan game is still going strong. After I've done the deck tan, it means that it's so much easier for me to put a red over the top of this, and it will actually cover the color that I've got underneath, and it matches almost exactly to the spray that I'd sprayed on the dress. Next up is to paint the shoes on the lady, and I just used a brown for this. I'm not really sure. Again, my fashion choices are very much to be desired, so don't quote me on this, but I think brown stiletto shoes might be a thing if you're an agent of some kind of super gaming bit. Never mind. I've finished painting the legs, and again, the way that I like to paint things is to build them up from the bottom up. This makes it a lot easier for me to at least see that I'm getting somewhere. I know that a lot of people struggle with figuring out what to paint first. If you don't know what to do, base is always easy. In this case, my base was just black, so I painted it black. It means that I'm already 10% done with my model, and then I start to build the model up, and that way it feels like I'm getting stuff done and some progress is being made. And then placing extra little bits like the little bow on the back of her neck, which was super simple. It was painted and then dry brushed, much like her hair, which I dry brushed with the light brown. During this process though, I also decided to do some more tests on this Creality machine. Of course, one print is not really a good enough test of how well does a machine print. So I printed off another model, and this one, it comes from Peach Figure. And this is the Regina from Dino Crisis. I just want to let you listen to how easily these prints came off of the supports before getting back into painting the rest of Ada. And of course I'm going to take some fluorescent pink and I'm going to paint that as a blush on her cheeks, and using Magos Purple over the lips. This is a classic thing that I've been doing in most of my videos now. I've also started to resort to using Cygor brown for eyebrows instead of using an actual brown standard acrylic paint, or whatever we're calling them these days. During this time, I also base coated both the gats in her hands, and then I just came back and dry brushed them with some metallic silvers, because this is an easy way to paint gats without doing too much work. Of course, it will look a little bit weird, so you might need to come back with some washes later on, at least maybe just in some areas, just to make some stuff stand out. Another important thing that does need to stand out is the eyes, and of course the way that I paint the eyes is by painting black over the eyelash area and then painting deck tan or white back into the sclera area, and then painting the pupil and iris and everything like that. This is a very difficult part of the model, and it's definitely going to take practice to get it right, but once you've got it right, this is also the point of the model where you can turn around and say, I'm done. I want to give some final thoughts on the machine overall, and just give you essentially my thoughts about my usability and how it worked and all the goodness of the machine. Essentially, would I recommend this machine to people? Well, yes, I would, because it's actually a really good machine. It prints really nicely. I had no issues. So personally, my experience was actually a really good experience with the machine. But like I mentioned earlier, my experience has usually been pretty good when it comes to Creality. Again, there have been people who have had issues, but you're going to have that in almost any part of life. Some people are going to like it and other people aren't going to like it. That's just how things are. Now, I would like to say though that of course the machine was sent to me, so some people are going to say I had to say that it was good because it was sent to me and I got it for free. That's not who I am as a person. I personally don't take any machines on this channel, or I don't take any products that I knowingly know are terrible. In fact, I've already had multiple products that were terrible, and I haven't mentioned a thing about them. I will not give them any advertising. I won't tell anybody about them unless they ask, what is it like? I will tell them my honest opinion, which is they were terrible. Now, of course, I also don't want to bash them online, because that's again not the kind of person I am. I don't go out and just rag people because they made a terrible product. So there's that. You take it with a pinch of salt. Do what you want with it, because I am going to now thank my Patreons for helping me keep the light blind in my eyeballs and keeping the videos going. Of course, if you are interested in supporting this channel, I have a Patreon where I upload almost daily behind the scenes whips and sometimes videos, a load of different stuff. I'm as active as I possibly can be on there. So if you want to support the channel and get a little bit of extra content, that might be a place for you. And if you didn't like anything you saw in this video, then just before you follow the instructions, share it with your gran, because then it's time for you to f*** off.